Hello, my name is Anuska and welcome to my channel. Now on today's video I wanted to talk about monotonous voices. You may have been told that you sound monotone, or maybe you perceive that in your own voice when you listen back. So in this video I want to share some ways you can start to bring more expression into your voice and just make it sound more engaging. But first of all, I just want to mention that true monotone is very, very rare, and actually really what we're experiencing if we perceive that kind of monotonous voice is more about a lack of variation of pitch, of dynamics, and or intensity. So it could be all three, or it could be one. We can also think about this as a lack of melody or a lack of emphasis in the voice. So it can almost sound a bit robotic. I also personally feel that monotonous voices go hand in hand with a low pitch, which just only exacerbates everything. So if your voice is very low down here and it's very monotone, it sort of starts to sound like you're either bored with what you're saying, or you're just feeling sad or under the weather, or you're just feeling very flat. So unless that's what you're going for in your speech, then actually cultivating more of your natural expression is going to make your speaking so much more engaging and interesting for your listeners and your audience. So I think that as human beings, we are naturally expressive, and we just have to look at babies and toddlers to see that expression coming through, whether they're crying, whether they're laughing, whether they're screaming, whether they're being joyful and running around. There's just this natural expression and animation. But somewhere along the line between us being a toddler and then getting into adulthood, we start to kind of shut that expression down, and maybe we've been told it's not okay, we don't want to shine too much, we don't want to be noticed. But it's going to be different for all of us, but somewhere along the line that expression starts to be really contained, and we start to put really the brakes on our voice. And so this monotone voice starts to become more obvious. So I believe that when people have a very monotonous voice, it's really a fear of sticking out, of being heard, and drawing attention to themselves, that they actually really don't want to be noticed. And so if I keep my voice kind of monotone and maybe the pitch quite low, then no one can really hear me, and no one's gonna listen to me. Now, it may not be conscious. So this is where the work that I do with clients is really important, because often we don't know what we are really thinking and feeling about ourselves, but it's expressed through our voice. So as I said, with a monotone voice, what it often lacks is this emphasis and this stress on words. And so we can think in the English language that every word that has more than one syllable will have stressed and unstressed syllables. And this helps us, if we utilize that, to really bring the kind of maximum expression to our words. So for example, if we take the word today, so we've got to and day. So the to bit is the unstressed syllable and the day is the stressed syllable. So there's much more emphasis put on the end of the word, today. Conversely, the word candle, the k has the stronger emphasis, and the dul at the end has the unstressed syllable, candle. So if we don't use those stressed and unstressed syllables, it can all sound quite robotic. Today. So stress can also be used to add meaning to what we're saying, and we can take literally the same sentence and change the emphasis and the stress in that word, and it gives it a completely different meaning. So I could say, leave me alone, in a very neutral way, in a very sort of monotone way, let's say, leave me alone, which you don't get much from that. Or I could say, leave me alone, like I'm angry and I want you to get away. Or I could say, leave me alone, and that's a kind of sadness and I'm wanting to be on my own. So we can really use stress to completely change the meaning of what we say. So emphasis is done, as I say, through raising the pitch. Leave me alone. It could be done through dynamics or volume. Leave me alone. Or it could be done through lengthening those syllables, consonants or vowels. leave me alone. So we can use it in different ways, or we could use it in all three. So we might use volume and lengthening. As a side note as well, because my work is also about vocal health and vocal technique, so not just the sort of expression side of the voice, but actually the functioning of the voice, the healthy functioning of our voice. And actually a voice that moves, particularly with pitch, is going to be so much more healthy. The voice loves to move. So regardless of the perhaps engagement factor of this with your voice, from a sort of health perspective, a vocal health perspective, actually moving the voice around with pitch is so much healthier for our voice. It's going to function so much better. So I'm now going to share 5 ways you can start to perhaps experiment and play around with more expression and emphasis in your voice. If this is something that you don't feel, which presumably is why you're watching this video, that you are fully optimizing at the moment. The other thing I would suggest as well is recording it, because often we think it sounds over the top in our head, but actually when we listen back to a recording, it really doesn't sound half as over the top as we think. So I do really recommend that you record and listen back. So first of all, and I do feel like a broken record when I say this, but warming up the voice, there's many reasons why warming up the voice is really good. But one of the reasons in terms of what we're talking about today is we're actually getting the voice used to moving. Because for many speakers, they don't warm up their voice. And so their voice stays in this very limited pitch, this very limited place. And it feels very weird to move it around because they're not used to warming up their voice. So I've done loads of videos on this, but just as a very quick, simple way you could just start to play around with this is you could just do a really easy hum, but just moving up and down your voice. And allow it to kind of go into that heady place in your voice. And just start to experiment with that movement. As I say, because for a lot of the speakers that I work with, even that is just very weird and new. But the more you get used to moving your voice around, the more this expression is going to feel much more normal to you, and it's not going to feel like such an extreme that you're suddenly, used to talking in this very narrow range and suddenly you're moving up and down all the time. So I will post the link below to my warm-up video, but I do really encourage you to start playing around with that movement of the voice, not only for vocal health, but also so that expression is much easier for you, because we're really kind of waking up the vocal folds, bringing more blood flow to them, so that then it's just going to feel so much easier to move the voice around. So that's number 1. So warming up the voice, it could be with a gentle hum, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just start to play around with that movement. The next one is to hum the tune of a spoken sentence, which might sound a bit weird, but sometimes this can really help us to get out of our kind of conditioned patterns around expression. So let's say I'm saying, my name is Anushka. I might go, and we just allow the voice to kind of move, and we don't put too much thought or effort into it. It's almost like we're singing a song, but we're not, obviously. So we almost like approach it a bit like the melody of a song. And it's just to start to kind of free us up a little bit, to let go of that old way of doing things. So you could obviously read a whole paragraph. You could spend a lot more time on this, but just start to hum the melody of a spoken sentence. Then the next one is counting from 1 to 5 and go up and down your pitch. So pitch being how low and high your voice is. So this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you're literally just almost kind of going up a ladder and then coming back down again. Now, this isn't a singing lesson. This isn't about singing. This is just, again, about you experiencing that movement of pitch in your voice. Because we talked about monotone is often a lack of variation of pitch. So let's just get you out of your comfort zone and start to move the voice around. Now that doesn't mean you have to speak up here, but it's that your voice, it's not gonna, we're just kind of awakening your voice a little bit more and exploring the edges. So the next one is counting from 1 to 5, but starting as quiet as you can and getting as loud as you can. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So again, what happens to your voice when you try and play around with the dynamics? Because we tend to stick with one dynamic. We tend to kind of stay in a very, very narrow pitch range, and we tend to stay in a very narrow dynamic range. So this is about just exploring the edges of your voice and getting outside your comfort zone. It doesn't mean you have to do that, but you're able to kind of access those parts of your voice if you want to. And then the final exercise is to take a very simple sentence and to see how many variations of pitch, dynamics, and even intensity you can get with that same sentence. And each variation is going to give it a different meaning or a different feeling. So we could take the sentence, I love walking. So if I was to say that kind of very monotone and robotic, I love walking. Now, if we played with that a little bit more, I love walking. So there's a bit more excitement, a bit more joy in that one. Or it could be, I love walking, which is a bit more sarcastic. So we can play around with the different emphasis, the stress, the dynamics, and all of that is going to play into the meaning and the feeling of what we're saying. And that's really how we become more expressive and engaging when we speak. So I really hope that that's given you some food for thought. I'd love to know your comments and just start to play around with this. You know, I think that's the main thing. Just don't be afraid to go away and just explore the edges of your voice. Get outside your comfort zone. You know, if you're someone that talks very quiet, play around with talking at a bit more volume. If you're someone that talks very low, play around with moving your voice up a little bit more. If you're someone that talks a bit high, play around with moving your voice down in pitch. So it's just really about exploring the edges, and then you've got more options open to you, which won't feel so extreme and weird in the moment. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, please post them below. If you like this video, please do comment, like, and share, and also obviously subscribe if you haven't, because I create videos every single week all about voice. So thank you so much for listening. I'll see you on my next video.